Hi friends, today I'm going to be taking a look at the SpēdDial hinge clamp set. This product is made by Stefan Bianchi Product Development in the US as a replacement for the factory fitted hinge clamp sets on Brompton folding bicycles. I was kindly sent a set to review by Brilliant Bikes, a bicycle shop in Chobham, Surrey, UK. Brilliant Bikes are my go-to shop for Brompton parts. The packaging highlights the advantages of this system. Firstly, it fits all Bromptons, so it comes supplied with two sets of bolts to cover both pre-2004 short wheelbase Bromptons and post-2004 long wheelbase Bromptons. Secondly, it says no extra turns, so when undoing, the SpēdDial system stops when you've loosened the bolt enough to be able to fold the bike. This also means it's not possible to undo the bolt so much that it falls out. Personally, I've never had a problem with losing a bolt, and I think it would take some effort to do that. Thirdly, it says no floppy plates. The factory-fitted hinge clamp plates are free to rotate around the bolt, so to tighten them you have to align them up so they are straight with the hinge, which can be a little bit fiddly. The SpēdDial system always holds the clamp plates in the correct alignment. And lastly, finger dimple tightens fast. Instead of turning the plastic clamp handle as if you were turning a tap or a faucet, you tighten these by placing a finger on the dimple, which means you can spin it closed or open more quickly. The back of the packaging shows a web address and an exploded view of the components, which will help when assembling this. I wish I'd gone to the web address before fitting the new clamps, as the instruction video would have been a helpful addition to the instructions supplied in the packaging, which are sparse but functional. And I'll just show the original Brompton clamps on this 2011 bike. You can see how the clamp plates aren't held in alignment with the hinge. Opening the packaging reveals the instructions. Note that a hammer and wood block are listed under the tools needed for installation, slightly unusual, and that you'll also be required to reuse the washers from the original clamp that you're taking off the bike. I'll walk through the installation as I did it, but again recommend you watch the install video on www.SpēdDial.com as well. So here's a shot showing all the supplied parts. 2 pairs of bolts, you'll only need to use 1 pair, and a pair each of clamp handles, clamp hinge plates, springs, brass retainers and locking nuts. If you have a long wheelbase Brompton, i.e. one that's built from 2004 onwards, you'll need to use the shorter 50mm bolts. For Bromptons older than 2004, you use the longer 55mm bolts. Note that the hinge clamp plates are asymmetrical, and this just enables the hinge clamp plates to stay in alignment with the hinge. So, the first step in installation is removing the old bolt, which is simply a case of undoing it enough until it comes out of the frame. Each clamp has 2 washers which we'll need to remove. The big washer is easy to obtain. To get to the second washer, we'll need to remove the bolt from the plastic handle. This may come out easily, or you may need to give it a tap with a hammer. The second, smaller washer is pressed into the plastic handle. To remove this, I use one of the bolts to tap it out. I'm surprised the SpēdDial set didn't come with the washers, which would have made fitting a whole lot easier, so I'm not that impressed with that bit. Next, you place all of the parts onto the new bolt, with the exception of the locking nut, and screw it onto the bike. You tighten it firmly, which presses a small washer into place on the new handle. You then undo the bolt, fold the bike and add the locking nut. Adjust the locking nut so that it prevents you making any more turns to the bolt when the bolt is loose enough to be able to fold the bike. An optional step after this is to realign it so that the handles are in the desired position when it's fully tightened, but I don't have a desired position, so I'll just skip this bit. Here's a demo of the complete folding and unfolding with the new SpēdDial clamps. One thing I've noticed is that it's now a lot easier to do both together, which could give you the advantage in next year's Brompton World Championship or Brompfication races. To summarise, personally I find the Brompton hinge clamps that come with the bike perfectly okay, and I haven't had any issues with them. But I do like the fact that these align automatically. For me, that's the best bit. The dimple allows the two clamps to be tightened or loosened together easily, so that's another time saver. I find the frame clamp easier to tighten than the handlebar stem clamp due to the angle my finger's at when spinning the handle closed, but both are okay. It takes a while to adjust to the new method. It's a shame that the washers aren't included in the pack. It makes it a bit more difficult to install and means that it's not as easy to go back if you wanted to the Brompton clamps. I guess there's also a few more actual physical parts to this than there are with the standard hinge clamp, so perhaps that's more things to go wrong. I've been using it for a week, but we'll have to wait just to see if it stands the test of time. So that's the end of the review, and I'd just like to say thanks again to Brilliant Bikes for sending these to me.